Here's the entire story of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Stone Ocean, in little over 10 minutes. Before we start, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video so we can make more videos about this in the future. Now, without any more delays, let's start. The plot is set in 2011. Jolene Cujo is sentenced to 15 years in prison after being involved in a car accident and being framed for murder. She is imprisoned at Green Dolphin Street Prison in Florida, nicknamed the Aquarium. Her father, Jotaro Cujo, gives her a pendant that causes a mysterious power to awaken inside her. When a series of inexplicable events occur, Jotaro informs his daughter that a disciple of Dio framed her so he could kill her in prison. Jotaro informs her to escape. In 2011, 10 years after the events of Golden Wind, Jolene's boyfriend, Romeo, crashes into a pedestrian. Romeo convinces her to help him dispose of the body, but she is eventually arrested for the victim's death. As she prepares for her trial, her attorney gives her various items from her mother and a pendant from her estranged father, Jotaro Cujo, which contained a piece of broken arrow that pierces her finger. While on remand at Green Dolphin Street Prison, aka the Aquarium, in Port St. Lucie, Florida, Jolene meets and befriends an inmate named Hermes Costello. She discovers that she can emit a long thin thread from her body, which she can also use to hear and attack people from long distances. She uses it to rescue Hermes from two corrupt guards. Later, Jolene's attorney talks her into a plea bargain for a reduced sentence, but she ends up getting sentenced to 15 years in prison when it's revealed that the victim was still alive when he was disposed of. She then discovers that her attorney was hired by Romeo's family to frame her for the accident, so she uses her new ability to choke her attorney on the freeway, forcing him to crash. In prison, Jolene shares her cell with Gwes, a prisoner with drastic mood swings who has Jolene's pendant and a strange pet bird. Jolene discovers that Gwes's bird is a hollowed-out shell containing a shrunken prison guard. She deduces that Gwes has also gained powers from the pendant. She uses her powers to shrink Jolene and forces her to wear a mouse carcass so she can sneak into the control room to deactivate the prison locks and help them escape. However, the increased distance from Gwes weakens her shrinking ability, causing Jolene to slowly return to her normal size. On her way back, Jolene is attacked by Gwes's vicious stand, Goo Goo Dolls, but she manages to fight back by materializing her own stand. After Gwes reveals that Hermes sold her the pendant, Jolene forces Gwes to free her by viciously pummeling her with her stand, which she names Stone Free. Gwes demonstrates to Jolene how money and power between inmates is manipulated throughout the prison. As Jolene quickly adapts to the system, she comes across a mysterious boy dressed in a baseball uniform, who tells her that she'll be receiving a visitor the next day and to avoid going to the visitation room before giving her a bone to protect herself. Jolene decides to go anyway and is disgusted to find out that the visitor is her father, Jotaro. He reveals that a blind assassin inmate named John Golly A was responsible for the car accident and arranged for her long prison sentence in revenge for Jotaro killing Dio. Jotaro offers to help her escape, but she refuses, bitter at him for being absent most of her life. However, right before she's about to leave, the two are suddenly shot at and wounded from the distant men's prison by John Golly A. His stand, Manhattan Transfer, allows him to sense air currents to help him direct his sniper bullets. Jolene attempts to confuse John Golly A's aim by standing in the visitation room and triggering the fire sprinkler system. The mysterious boy then appears again and instructs Jolene to kick out the base of a pillar, which uncovers a secret passageway. Jotaro suggests that they escape, but Jolene decides to try to save the boy from the enemy's stand, as he has now become the target. She seemingly foils the assassin by using a broken gas pipe to throw off his sense of direction and immobilize the stand. However, she realizes that she's in a dream and manages to wake herself up by cutting her hand on the bone that the boy gave to her earlier. She then finds herself, Jotaro, and the room covered in corrosive slime. Jolene wakes Jotaro up and uses his stand, Star Platinum, to release them from the melting room. He then leads Jolene to a beach where a submarine from the Speedwagon Foundation is waiting for them. However, they're shot at by John Golly A, who had disguised himself as a prison guard. The injured Jotaro realizes that he's the target and that the sniper is working with another stand user who put him and Jolene to sleep. The other attacker's stand, named Whitesnake, converts Jotaro's stand and memories into discs and extracts them from him. As Jotaro falls into a coma, Jolene finds out about how much her father truly cared for her. She defeats John Golly using Stone Free and leaves Jotaro at the beach to be picked up by the Speedwagon Foundation, before returning to the prison in hopes of retrieving the discs and reviving him. Back inside, she contacts the boy, who tells her that his name is Emporio, and that he was born in the prison, where his inmate mother was killed by Whitesnake. Meanwhile, Whitesnake shoots John Gotti with his own gun to make it look like a suicide. Jolene gets 5 years added to her sentence for the attempted prison break, and is placed in solitary confinement in the punishment ward. Hermes wakes up in the infirmary following a fever that she developed after piercing her skin on Jolene's pendant. She finds herself being robbed by the inmate janitor, Thunder McQueen. She then discovers that she can produce stickers from the palms of her hand, which duplicate whatever they touch, and can merge the items back together in a destructive manner if the sticker is removed or destroyed. She uses a sticker to attack McQueen, and finds 2 discs sticking out of his head. She takes one and finds out that it contains his memories, including one where he meets with Whitesnake. Then, McQueen attempts to hang himself out of a sense of despair, which causes his stand, Highway to Hell, to inflict his pain onto Hermes, but she uses her stand to save herself. She then runs into Emporio, who informs her that the disc still inside McQueen contains his stand. Since she's unsuccessful in trying to stop McQueen's suicide attempts, she uses a sticker to incapacitate him, thus ejecting the stand disc. Hermes grabs the disc and plans revenge on Whitesnake for her ideal. Her stand, Kiss, manifests itself. Hermes gives McQueen's discs to Emporio for safekeeping, and he gives the memory disc to Jolene to see if there are any clues about Whitesnake and her father's discs. Meanwhile, 2 inmates are consumed by a blob-like monster. The prison chief, Loco Barroco, assembles all of the inmates and calls for volunteers to search for the escapees. Jolene and Hermes volunteer with another inmate called Atro and 2 other women. They are forced to wear bracelets that'll explode if they stray more than 50 meters away from the lead guard. Jolene tells Hermes that she learned from McQueen's memories that Whitesnake has dozens of stand discs stored within one of the tractor tires on the farm. As they approach the wetlands, Hermes notices that there are 6 inmates when only 5 volunteered. The guard is suddenly attacked and dragged far away, causing Atro's bracelet to explode, killing her. Hermes is suddenly dragged into the water by an enemy stand made up of multiplying, sentient plankton. Jolene frees her, and the stand remains in the water, refusing to follow them inland. The 2 then confront the other 3 members of the party to determine who is the imposter. Jolene and Hermes discover that 2 of the search party members were killed and possessed by extensions of their opponent, a plankton colony called Foo Fighters, aka FF, who used the victim's remains to disguise itself. FF explains that it's both a stand user and a stand, after Whitesnake granted it intelligence to guard the stand discs for him. Jolene chases FF into a nearby barn, while Hermes attempts to prevent the stand's double from dragging away the guard to trigger their bracelets. Hermes defeats the double by drawing it out of the water and exposing it to one of the dried-up corpses of one of the inmates, which dehydrates it. In the barn, FF gains the upper hand on Jolene after covering the ground with water, but Jolene uses Stonefree's threads to activate the tractor and drive the discs away. FF chases the tractor, but falls apart as its body is absorbed by the dirt. Jolene decides to spare the dying entity when she realizes that it was protecting the discs for its own sake, rather than Whitesnake's. She recruits FF as an ally. Jolene finds Jotaro's stand disc, but not his memory. FF then possesses Atro's corpse to join Jolene and Hermes in prison, hiding Jotaro's disc within her body. The farm is later investigated by Whitesnake and his user, Enrico Pucci, the prison's head priest. An inmate thief named Mirashon approaches Pucci seeking parole, but instead, he inserts 2 discs into her, planning to use her to get Jotaro's stand disc back. Meanwhile, in the exercise yard, FF slowly gets accustomed to Atro's body and plays a game of catch with Jolene. Mirashon appears and bets $100 that they can't catch the ball 100 times in a row. When they succeed, Mirashon challenges them to catch the ball another 100 times for $1,000. Jolene refuses, but Hermes accepts the bet and takes her place. When a guard confiscates the glove from Hermes, she cheats with her stand and loses the bet. Mirashon's stand, Marilyn Manson, shows up to extract the money from Hermes. Since Hermes doesn't have enough, Marilyn removes her liver to pay off the rest of the debt. Jolene then bets that she can catch the ball 1,000 times in return for everything that was taken from Hermes. Mirashon re-enters the prison, forcing Jolene and FF to continue to toss the ball while chasing her. The game is again interrupted by the guard, who takes the ball, but Jolene retrieves it with her thread and continues the game. However, since they never agreed on a specific partner, Jolene has Stone Free toss the ball at Mirashan 1,000 times. As a result, she wins the bet, saves Hermes, and retrieves the 2 discs. Jolene uses her winnings to buy time on the phone to call the Speedwagon Foundation. A representative instructs her to deliver Jotaro's stand disc to Savage Garden at the courtyard in 20 minutes. On her way there, Emporio pulls her into the ghost of a music room from the prison's past, as his stand enables him to manifest objects which no longer exist. He introduces her to an amnesiac stand user named Weather Report, who wants to help. While demonstrating his stand's power to control the weather, Weather Report spots an inmate named Lang Wrangler following them. Wrangler uses his stand, Jumpin' Jack Flash, to manipulate gravity and suspend Jolene in midair, making her and anything she touches weightless. He steals Jotaro's stand disc from her, but when he retreats, Weather's stand counters his abilities with atmospheric pressure. He then touches Jolene to also become weightless, and they chase Wrangler into the main factory area to retrieve the disc. Pucci requests access to recent phone recordings to learn more about Jolene's call to the Speedwagon Foundation. In the factory room, Jolene and Weather find themselves in a zero-gravity vacuum being shot at by Wrangler's metal projectiles. They were in danger of suffocating from a lack of oxygen with blood leaking from their bodies. Weather uses his stand and the remaining air to create suits of clouds that allow them to breathe, and to halt their blood loss for a short time. Jolene figures out that Jumpin' Jack Flash has a limited range in the room and tries to help Weather reach it so that he can manipulate the air, but his suit suffers considerable damage from Wrangler's attacks. Wrangler attempts to rupture her protective suit, but Jolene attaches multiple threads to his projectiles, allowing her to pull him into the zero-gravity vacuum area, which causes his blood to boil. He destroys Jolene's suit by throwing an exploding glass bottle, but Weather saves her by giving her the rest of his cloud suit. Wrangler is forced to reinstate gravity, but the incoming burst of air pushes him towards Jolene, allowing her to pummel him with Stone Free. She uses Lang's card to request a guard to open the door, but instead, she's greeted by the priest. Back in 1988, Dio told Pucci that he found a way to reach heaven without dying, and wrote the instructions on how to do so in a notebook, which Jotaro burned after killing him. Pucci plans to read the contents of Dio's notebook through Jotaro's memory disk. In the present, Pucci allows Jolene to go to the courtyard to avoid revealing Whitesnake. However, she's shot by a guard under his control and drops the disc. A desperate Weather tries to help by making it rain poison dart frogs, which kill the guard who shot Jolene. To protect herself from the falling frogs, Jolene creates a shelter with her threads. The priest also manages to evade them. When the deluge stops, Pucci instructs Whitesnake to search the courtyard for Jotaro's stand disc and Jolene's body. When Whitesnake locates the stand disc, Jolene uses her threads to grab the disc and pass it to Savage Garden, a trained carrier pigeon from the Speedwagon Foundation. Pucci withdraws Whitesnake to prevent Jolene from identifying its user. In a post-credits scene, Whitesnake meets with Sports Max and asks him to test his abilities on a bone from Dio's body. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked the video. If you do, please share your appreciation by liking, commenting, and subscribing.